Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Agent Psycho. It's been a long time since I've done a video like this that's like a commentary style video instead of the usual live commentaries that I've been doing for more or less the past year. But because Line of Sight, which is the game that's supposed to be the spiritual successor to Combat Arms, has recently come out for early access by Black Spot Entertainment, which are the devs of the game, I decided that after playing the game for I think it's about a week or so now, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, going on 3 weeks, I guess. It's about time that I made a video like this. The video title is a reference to another YouTuber by the name of Drifter. I've referenced him a couple times before, way back in the past when I used to do live or dedicated commentaries like this on the regular. But Drifter has done a video recently talking about Infinite Warfare, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, that is, titled The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to steal an idea from him, and I'm going to title this video Line of Sight, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So obviously in this video, if you know about Drifter, in this video I'm going to be discussing what's good about Line of Sight, what's bad about Line of Sight, and finally what's really ugly about Line of Sight. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so first let's start talking about what's good about Line of Sight right now as it is in early access. So, in my personal opinion, again, everything that I'm going to be saying in this video is going to be personal opinions. So just want to get that out of the way first here. Should have probably said that in the intro, but now that I remember. So what's good about Line of Sight, in my opinion, is that the kills are satisfying. The core gameplay of Line of Sight is actually very fun. Now, again, this is just me saying it. Maybe some of you listening to this commentary don't agree with this at all, but in my opinion, the core gameplay is good. Kills are satisfying when you, well, kill people, obviously. Gunplay in general just feels fun, feels smooth. The hit reg is, I'll talk about that later, but that's another story. But overall, I have fun playing the game, which is obviously a really good thing, because if you're not having fun playing the game, why are you even playing it? So me personally, I have a lot of fun playing the game. The gunplay style, the gameplay mechanics are all things that I can get behind, and to help me keep playing the game because I have fun with it, obviously. The daily mission system that Line of Sight offers is actually very, very good because it is not grindy at all. A lot of other first-person shooter games, or just online multiplayer games in general, that have a large player base and have like daily mission kind of systems and rewards kind of thing. A lot of those games have daily missions where you have to grind the game for hours. Like, I know Combat Arms has a daily mission system, but in my memory, when I used to do those back in the day when they first implemented them into Combat Arms, they took they took a long time. Like, you need to play for 2 hours or something just to complete one of them. Like, it was literally play for 120 minutes, and that includes only gameplay time, like the time you spend in an actual game, not just you standing around or just idling in the lobby, which of course, that makes sense. It would be a little bit iffy if you could do that. But still, like, playing for 2 hours just to complete one daily mission, like, you only have to do nothing but play the game for 2 hours, that's a little bit much. So fortunately, Line of Sight doesn't do that. It doesn't require you to grind the game religiously or anything. And instead, their version is, oh, you just need to play any game mode, you just literally just play the game for 20 minutes, and we give you 2,000 GP, which is not a bad sum for just playing for 20 minutes. So the daily mission systems are very incentivizing, where they're they're not going to ask too much out of you. In fact, they don't ask much of you at all, and they give you some GP to use as spending money in game, and they're really relatively easy to complete. Just get just get a double kill, or get a multi kill, or get 20 kills in any game mode and stuff like that. Just really easy, simple missions that you can do within 1 or 2 matches, maybe 3 if you have one of those harder missions that aren't really so hard, like get a multi kill, or use a PK ability 5 times. Which if you're not very good at the game, or if you happen to just join games in progress that don't let you generate enough energy to use PKs 5 times, that kind of thing. So yeah, daily missions are incentivizing. They're quick. They're easy. And they give you lots of money for the amount of work that you need to put in. It's it's a very high work to reward ratio, which is nice because a lot of other games don't do that. Like I mentioned before just now, a lot of other games have really grindy daily missions. Line of Sight doesn't, which is very nice. In the mission system in general, they divide it into daily, weekly, and monthly. So daily missions obviously are the ones you do daily. They're pretty simple. They're pretty easy to do. Weeklies are the ones that are a little bit, obviously they're weekly, so you can't do them all in one day. Well, at least they're not intended to. Like, complete 10 daily missions over the course of a week, or, play for 250 minutes throughout the entire week, which obviously that's a lot better than, oh, you only have one day to play for 4 hours. Yeah, that sucks. And finally, the monthlies are the most difficult challenges where get 800 or so player kills, get all that kind of stuff. So the mission systems, once again, really great. I love it. And they incentivize you to keep playing the game without making it seem grindy. It's the most important thing I want you to take away from it, or from this. Next, a little bit of a minor thing, but I don't play a lot of S&D. In fact, I've only ever played S&D once in this game, and that gameplay I happen to record, or that game I happen to record, and it's in this video. You can see me suck in it because I don't like S&D, but it seems that if you play S&D and you are on offense and one of your teammates plants the bomb, at any point in time, you get 50 free points, which is very, very nice because it incentivizes everyone to play the objective, which is to plant the bomb, obviously. And I've only seen one other shooter do this at all, like ever, where it gives the entire team points for planting a bomb or something like that, and that's Soldier Front 2, which isn't around anymore, unfortunately. But back when Soldier Front 2 was still active, if you were to play S&D in that game mode, then what would happen is if you're on offense, you can plant the bomb. But not only do you give yourself 50 points, but you also give everyone on your team 50 points. So it's always a good idea to plant the bomb so that everyone benefits from even just one guy playing the objective. So again, a nice touch to have people kind of nudge people to play objective a little bit. And finally, the last thing I've got here under good is the ESP and psionic skill mechanic. Like, I know that a lot of people have had doubts before Line of Sight came out regarding the abilities and skills and whatnot, the ESPs and psionics. Because recently in the video game industry, like shooter game industry kind of thing, it seems that the trend is going towards modern combat, but with augmented stuff. Like we've seen in, for example, I'll just pick on the Call of Duty series here. We've seen the Black Ops series, the Advanced Warfare from Sledgehammer, and now Infinite Warfare is going to be coming out in a month and a half now. Actually, it's pretty soon. So, and those games like that have they're military shooters, but you have you either have your guy either has an exosuit that gives them special powers, or maybe your guy himself just has special powers by himself. So Line of Sight seems to be following that trend here. So a lot of people were kind of hesitant to accept a game that's supposed to be a military shooter, but also has supernatural, sci-fi stuff, like ESP abilities and psionic stuff thrown into it. So, yeah, obviously a lot of people are not really certain about that. Me, for one, I don't really mind because, I like having, I like seeing cool special abilities. I can obviously see the potential for abuse if they're not done right, but fortunately in Line of Sight, ESPs and psionics and, all those other skills and whatnot seem to be very... I hesitate to use the word balance, because it's only been a few weeks since the game has actually been released, but they don't seem useless, but at the same time not broken either. I think that Line of Sight has more or less hit the nail on the head when it comes to special abilities like the ESPs and psionics that that you can use. Obviously the game gives you the option, if you're the room master of a lobby, to turn off ESPs and psionics if you don't like them at all, or if you like them, and you can just turn them on, and when they're active and everyone can use it, the ESPs and psionics aren't dominating the match. Like they're not like Call of Duty kill streaks where they just kill everything. They've got their downsides. I actually really like the fact that using ESPs or psionics takes away health. So whenever you use an ability, it's a commitment because you have to sacrifice health in order to use it. But obviously, it's not broken in the bad way to the point where if you use it when you're low health, it kills you. The game makes it clear that even if you're at low health, you can't ever kill yourself by using an ESP or a psionic ability. It's just if you have the health to spare, the game takes away your health. But if you have none, it's not going to kill you. It's not going to penalize you for deciding, oh, I need to use my ability right now to get myself out of trouble. So I think that the ESPs and psionics are in a good place right now. There are a couple ones that are kind of iffy that are either just by themselves in their description or what they can do are a little bit. They seem like they could be broken if people figure out how to abuse them, or they have the potential to be abused, not because of what they do, but because of what people think of how to use them. Actually, they're the same thing, so I'm just fucking talking out of my ass here. But to list a few, like health packs, I guess could be an abusable ability. Like I guess you could just keep spamming health packs, but then again, it's like you die so quick in this game. It's like, well, if you were to survive a gunfight, pick up a health pack, so I guess scratch health packs. It doesn't really seem like it can be abused. Well, hopefully I don't jinx it. Another one is like the wall hack ability with the scanner thing, where your guy kind of like throws his hands out in front of him, and it sends like a scanner sweep directly in front of him. You can see people through walls. That could be abused, I guess. But again, I've never used them, so it's not really my place to say. I've only ever used the default ones that they give you right off the bat when you start the game: the blink ability and the satellite strike. And the satellite strike obviously uses up like almost your entire meter, so you can't just keep spamming it all over again and again and again. It actually takes a long time to generate charge in order to use your psionic ability in the first place. So yeah, so basically the game's done a good job on balancing the ESP psionics so far. Like I haven't seen anyone complain about a psionic or an ESP ability being overpowered or broken. Like most of the time, you're going to find yourself getting shot in the face by a normal gun, which is how it should be. But just in case people were wondering, is there the potential for a psionic ability or an ESP ability to be broken? That's really not the case here for the most part. Unless, of course, I'm just completely overlooking something, but I'm going to, so I'm not. So yeah, abilities are in a good state right now. Now let's start talking about the bad stuff. So, first things first, cluttered main menu UI. The main menu UI, or if you don't know what UI stands for, it's called the user interface. It's just what your screen looks like at the main menu. When you first start up the game, or at least in my personal experience, when I first started up the game, it was kind of confusing to navigate my way around the menu. I mean, this is probably pretty common when you first start playing games that you've never played before and just trying them out for the first time. But I think line of sight can benefit a lot more and be a lot more, I guess we could say, attractive to prospective players who are looking to get in to the game by, kind of cleaning up their UI, because there's a lot of things that I can see that aren't very either necessary, or they could do a better job in making it clearer and making it more intuitive. Because it's not, let me tell you, it's not very intuitive to learn how to, or to, figure out how to get into a match. It's not actually not all that great. And plus, there's the lower left-hand corner of your screen in the main menu just has this random picture of a soldier whose eyes are glowing and stuff like that. Like, I mean, the picture looks badass to be fair, but like, I feel like that picture's only there just to, fill up space. It's literally just space filler. So the devs could definitely do a better job of making the main UI a little bit less cluttered and more intuitive, so that people know, this is how I get into a match. Here's the server browser, which, I mean, there's a big button on the upper right, but I guess that's for the devs to figure out. In any case, the main menu UI needs a little bit of improvement. The in-game UI also needs a pretty big improvement as well, because if you go into game and just a standard TDM game or whatever, you'll notice immediately that the your teammate names on your HUD are just they're pretty big. I mean, they're not like the biggest things ever. It's not like you're just blinded by them or anything. But it would be pretty beneficial to everyone if the devs, just lowered the font size of your character, of your teammates' names a little bit. That and like the symbols that denote, like if you're playing Search and Destroy, like, oh, here's A-bomb. So well, actually, I can't speak for SND in this game because I don't really play it all that often. But just random symbols that you see on your HUD, like those could use a little bit of downscaling so that your vision of your enemies, the people you want to shoot, aren't being blocked by your teammates' names or just random symbols scattered throughout the map that indicate like points of interest. Like the UI could, in general, just use a bit of touching up here. Another thing I want to point out under the bad section here is fall damage. Fall damage is a little bit ridiculous in this game. The most prominent example that I can think of right now off the top of my head is if you spawn on, I forget if it's whether or not it's Alpha or Bravo side. I don't even know if they call it Alpha or Bravo side in line of sight either. Just how much little attention I pay to this game right now, besides just playing it a whole lot. But the map, the snow map, whatever that's called, the snow map that has the tower and it has 3 lanes basically in it. Don't know the name off the top of my head, but it's like Hunted something, I don't know. But yeah, that map, if you spawn on the side where you can reach the house closer, the side of the map that's that the main house in the middle of the map is closer to. If you spawn on the right side and you jump off the stairs because you don't want to take the stairs because it's slower, honestly. If you jump off the top of the stairs and all the way down, you take like 20 or 30 fall damage for like no reason. Well, obviously it's not no reason, but it's a little bit ludicrous to lose that much health just for falling down that short height. I mean, even Combat Arms doesn't penalize you that hard for that, and I've died plenty of times running downstairs, and then the game engine catches up and says, "Oh, you fell down this height, you're dead." But yeah, line of sight puts some pretty harsh fall damage penalties to people who happen to slip off an edge and like fall down like 10 feet. Like, well, actually 10 feet is actually a pretty high height. Yeah, so like maybe 5 feet, like 8 feet even. Like, the game decks your health a lot. So I would like to see fall damage like tweaked a little so it's not too harsh. That'd be nice. Moving right along here, I find that jumping around corners is becoming a tactic that people are seeming to use recently more often. It's to the point where even I'm starting to use it because it's just that powerful at times. It's not like, oh, it's a guaranteed kill, but it feels really annoying to die to someone who jumps around a corner at you and sprays at you and gets a lucky headshot. It's kind of frustrating, and honestly, that's not a very good mechanic to have in any shooter game whatsoever, unless it's designed to be that way. But line of sight isn't necessarily a really jumpy 3D movement-ish game in the first place, so, it's boots on the ground for the most part. Well, it is boots on the ground, not for the most part. And I feel like, personally, jumping around corners and getting random headshots on people around the corner is not a very good mechanic to have in this game. It shouldn't be for any game, but in this game particularly, it feels really frustrating. So, my suggestion to nerf this would be just to make the jumping accuracy of guns to be really shit, so that people just don't get random around the corner headshots by jumping. So, because right now, even if you jump, you can still have pretty accurate hipfire while jumping. It kind of reminds me of Counter-Strike in a sense, where jumping scale. That shit. But yeah, jumping accuracy should be nerfed so that you don't get shot in the face as you turn the corner. That'd be nice. Submachine guns is next. Submachine guns are really weird right now because you guys should know, if you guys don't know by now, that line of sight is supposed to be like a spiritual successor to Combat Arms. And if you guys have played Combat Arms, which you should, assuming you're watching this video and have played the game, some machine guns and Combat Arms have always had a pretty wide crosshair by default because it's to emphasize that it's a close range weapon. So that means you can't be accurate with them at long range, which that's completely understandable. That's how submachine guns should work in shooter games. But in this game, in line of sight, assault rifles are by far the best gun type in the game. Generally speaking, I'll talk about this later in the ugly section, but assault rifles are the best in the game because not only do they have the best, general range apart from snipers, that is, but their hipfire accuracies are very, very accurate for what they are. And submachine guns, on the other hand, their standing hipfire spreads are goddamn awful. Like, just look at the gameplays in this video that I have of me using the Chris, which is the free rotation submachine gun that I was using at the time I was recording these gameplays for this video. The Chris, the P90, all the submachine guns have just terrible fucking hipfire spreads, and it really confuses me why they would do this because obviously I understand that it's to accentuate the fact that submachine guns should be used as close range weapons and medium range weapons instead of like long range weapons like the assault rifle should be, but my god, the hipfire spreads are awful. Like, they're big. Like, they're as big as my fucking fist if I were to hold it up to my monitor. And actually, that's a lie. My fist is not that small. But you get the point. You can barely aim with those things because the crosshairs are just so large. Like, it's really not very intuitive at all to use the submachine guns as effectively as they can be. So I wish, or I hope that to buff the submachine guns in general, the devs decide to tighten up the crosshairs like by some degree. Like, it doesn't have to be like an insane amount because obviously if that were the case, then obviously submachine guns would dominate the game, and we don't want that. But I really do wish that the crosshairs for the submachine guns do get tightened up to the point where it's not like you're spraying at someone like at mid-range and you're hoping to get a kill. Like, that shouldn't really happen with any gun. Well, unless you're shooting them at the range where you shouldn't really be getting kills in the first place. But even with submachine guns, even while you're shooting at people who are supposed to be within a good range for a submachine gun, like, when I'm doing that, when I'm shooting them with the submachine gun like a Chris, I don't really know if I'm gonna kill them. Like, sometimes I get a multi-kill, like, without even trying, and other times I just struggle to get one single kill. It's not very consistent, using submachine guns. So by tightening up the hipfire spread a little bit on all SMGs, should fix the inconsistency in SMG performance in the game. But we'll see what happens after, or we'll see what happens with the devs and their decisions towards SMGs. Next on the list here is grenades. So, oh god, grenades. Grenades in this game feel like slightly nerfed super frags from Combat Arms. You guys know, if you guys have played Combat Arms, you guys know how ridiculous the super frags are. They are just, my god, 8 years of dealing with that shit. But, yeah, in line of sight, the grenades seem very strong. Like, the grenade indicators, like, it's good that the game actually does have grenade indicators, which Combat Arms never had and never did put in, because it's a terrible game. Sorry about that. But, yeah, the grenades in line of sight seem very strong. I can deal with them as they are right now. Like, they don't need to change them, or they don't have to change them. I'm not going to stop playing the game because of it, or I'm not going to complain too much. But it does seem like I get killed by grenades a lot, especially in situations where I don't think I can get killed. Like, I run away from a grenade, like, if I see it coming in, and so I start running away, and I feel like I'm going to get out of its lethal range, but it kills me at full HP anyway. So, I don't know. I guess it's not so much that the grenades are very strong, as they are just, like, the grenade indicators are not very consistent a lot of the time. So, I don't really know what's going on there, but I just put grenades under the bad category, just in case. Next on the list here is Room Master crap. Okay, so if you guys have played Combat Arms, which I'm going to keep saying that over and over again in this video, but if you guys play Combat Arms, you guys know that you can make your own servers, or your own rooms by just creating your own lobby in a particular server, NA, Asia, whatever as it is in Combat Arms, or in line of sight, sorry. And when you make your own room, you become the room master, or if the room master of another room leaves the game, it might give you or someone else, or just pass the master status to someone else, so that they can be the new room master and start the game and whatever, all that fun stuff. The problem with room masters right now is that it's not so much like people abusing their room mod status or their room master status and just kicking anyone they want, which they can because everyone has emod by default, like emod from Combat Arms. Everyone has that by default in Line of Sight, where you can just kick anyone you want and you don't have to pay fucking money for it. But what in Line of Sight, the problems are that there's no way for the lobby just start itself without the room master specifically starting it on his own. Like, what I mean by that is that, for example, a room mod can just sit in inventory or in the shop or in their hideout for literally as long as they want, and the game will never start because the game must be started by the room master. If the room master isn't paying attention, like if he's AFK or he's in his inventory or he's in his hideout or he's in the tuning shop or just the regular shop, the game will never start. And I haven't yet seen a system mechanic that automatically starts the game if there's enough people ready, like already ready, for example, let's just say. Or it doesn't, I don't know if the system or if the game has a system mechanic where it kicks the room master if the game senses that he's idle and gives the room master to someone else, or just flat out just starts the game on its own, like just right there. And I know the game can do that because there's been matchmaking. Matchmaking is a thing in every other freaking shooter game. And for example, in Dirty Bomb, all their servers are automated so that it doesn't rely on like let's say a room mod. It's just oh, you join a server, it just keeps count. It just gives you a minute countdown, and then it goes into the game right away without anyone having to click a button that says start on it. Excuse me, voice crack. But in Line of Sight, everything depends on the room master. Room master puts all the room restrictions, whatever, if they want, the score limit, the time limit, all that fun stuff. But they also have control of when the game starts, and I think that's a very big problem because someone who accidentally goes AFK or doesn't realize they become room mod can just sit in the fucking shop forever, and the game's not going to start at all. So obviously we don't want that. So I want the game to have like a built-in system where it detects if the room mod is either idle or if you're just spending way too much time inside the shop or the tuning store or whatever, and just either passes the room mod to someone else so that the current room mod is just gonna just jerk himself off in the fucking shop for like hours on end without ever starting the game and wasting everyone else's time, or it just passes or just starts the game automatically. Either of those two I'm fine with, but yeah. The current system mechanics with like room mods and stuff in Line of Sight, they need to be changed. That's for sure. Grinding for GP is also another kind of problem that I see. It's because so grinding for GP is an issue simply because of how ludicrous the prices are in Line of Sight. Like, buying a gun, I understand that buying guns for permanent should be expensive and should be a commitment, but like buying, for example, an AK-47 is like fucking 400,000 GP, and I've been grinding the game for quite a bit now, like every day for ever since it came out. And I only have around 135,000 GP. Granted, I did spend around 40 to 50k to get my M4A1 and my L115 sniper, modifications and attachments and all that good stuff. But even still, even if I didn't spend the money to get attachments for my two guns, I would still only have like, let's say, 200,000 GP. And that's not a lot. That's only halfway to getting a permanent weapon. And I've been playing this game for 3 weeks now. So, obviously, not everyone has the time like I do to grind the game. And, which, if I keep grinding the game within 3 weeks, I'll probably have enough money to buy myself a permanent weapon. But not everyone has the time to do that, Everyone else has, like, most people have work, they've got school. They don't have time to sit in a game and play, like, hours on it just to grind GP, and or either that or they just have to buy straight up crowns or jewels, or it's the Line of Sight's version of NX, and just buy whatever we want right away. But not everyone wants to buy money to get what they want, and it should never be that way. But it seems like the game is incentivizing buying your guns, which is bad, obviously. So it could have that. I'll discuss this again later in the ugly section, but grinding for GP seems like a real theme. Even though I did say like the daily missions are easy and quick and easy to do, and they give you relatively lots of GP for how simple they are, it's nowhere near enough to tell me that, oh, this game is definitely not grindy or anything like that. So yeah, there's definitely an aspect of money grinding in this game. Like, you need to put in the hours to get enough money to, buy what you want. But yeah, that's honestly up to personal opinion. I think it's a little bit grindy. Definitely not as grindy as the original Combat Arms. My God, that game sucked for grinding if you didn't buy Annex right off the bat. But yeah, Line of Sight is a little bit like that. Nowhere near the level of that Combat Arms was, but it's still there a little bit. Next on the list is map design. This is a recurring theme for people who are playing the game right now. Almost everyone, or at least in my opinion, or from what I can tell, almost everyone has a complaint with the map design in this game. Like, these maps are not very good. Let's just be real here. Let's just be honest. These maps are horrible. Not horrible, but they could use a whole lot of improvements. Like that snow map I mentioned before. Like, that map is not only probably too big. It's not too big, but it could use a lot of opening up. Like, there are 3 dedicated lanes that you can hardly access from one another. Like, when you go down one lane, you have to dedicate yourself to that lane. Otherwise, you have to spend a good portion of time running around the map to get to the other lane. And obviously, it's for someone like me who likes a lot of maneuverability and a lot of room to work with in my maps. It's like maps like that are just kind of they feel kind of stagnant. Let's just put it that way. Other maps, like Rust Cage, it's meant to be a fucking, shit show. Let's just be real here. So I don't really have too many complaints with that map because it's supposed to have bad map design. It's like Warehouse from the first Sudden Attack. But yeah, just a complete clusterfuck and just grenades flying everywhere. And you don't know what the hell's going on half the time. What else? The Cornflakes map is way too fucking big. Like, that map is huge to the point where, like, rifles, anything that isn't a sniper rifle, are almost useless on that map. Sniper rifles are definitely the way to go, and even then, people tank your shots half the time. So yeah, Cornflakes either the size needs to be reduced, or the guns themselves just need to be made stronger, because you can hardly kill anyone across the map with a rifle. That's not a sniper rifle, that is. I think by far the best map, to me personally, is the best designed map anyway, is the CTF map, or the free-for-all map. I forgot what it's called, like Cargo Hound or something like that. That map is actually pretty fun for CTF. Like, I didn't think it was at first, but as I kept playing it, it quickly started growing on me. So I think that map is fairly well designed, in my opinion. Of course, I could have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, and it could actually be a terrible map to some of you. But to me, I feel like that map's the best design. I can't really speak on the other maps though, because those are really the only ones I've played. The Night Siege one is, it's like a traditional 3-lane map. But I enjoy it because I like 3-lane maps, and I happen to do very well on it. But again, it might be a badly designed map. Who knows? But yeah, map design could use a little bit of work. And finally, noob tubes. Oh god, who the fuck thought it was a good idea to include noob tubes in this game? Like, has no one learned their lesson from over at Black Spot Entertainment from Modern Warfare 2? Like, I swear to God, whoever suggested the idea to put in noob tubes into the game as a possible rifle underbarrel attachment, I'm willing to bet my freaking debit card savings on the fact that guy who suggested it was a one-man army noob tuber from Modern Warfare 2 using Danger Close. Like, why are noob tubes in this game? Like, why? not even combat arms had they had rocket launchers, sure, but you had to the rocket launcher was a gun in itself, not a freaking underbarrel attachment. And sure, specialists in combat arms had access to the M32, but again, that was a dedicated weapon. It was a standalone weapon instead of an underbarrel attachment. Plus, you had to use a specialist for it. Plus, you could only use that. You could only carry one primary, or either that or like two, but you had to have a specialist license for it. So yeah, they had a lot of penalties to use weapons like that in combat arms at the very least. In this game, it's a freaking underbarrel attachment, and I know that it decreases your mobility a lot and your stability on your gun a lot, but it's an underbarrel noob tube, and it one-shots people. Either through direct impact or just detonating it near someone. Of course, I don't know how effective its lethal blast radius is, but I've gotten killed by it by people who have gotten good with it, like recently, and it sucks. Like, people have gotten pretty good with the noob tube, as good as they have with the throwing knife in the game. At least the throwing knife takes some skill, I guess. But noob tubes, nah. Like, I would like to see noob tubes removed from the game. I don't feel like it has a place in the game, but maybe I could be talking out of my ass here. Maybe they're just so terrible that maybe the people who are using it are just that insane at the game. But yeah, I don't like noob tubes. Fuck those things. And finally, of course, there's just not enough people playing the game. But obviously, it's an early access game, and Black Spot doesn't have Nexon's publishing fame, quote unquote, to back them up here. So obviously, there's not going to be a lot of people off the rip. But hopefully Black Spot does do some pretty good advertising or whatever to get more people to play, because right now the most glaring problem the game is facing right now is there's just not enough people. You can go into the server list and literally see for yourself, there's not a lot of people playing. So, more people would be nice. And now finally, the section that you've all been so desperately waiting for after like 30 minutes of me talking about random crap. The ugly section. So, first thing to kick this off, the gun balance. There's a lot of potential for guns to be very broken in this game, I can tell. It kind of has to do with, the bad netcode / bad hit reg that this game has, but also, it's just more because of the guns themselves. Some guns, like the AK-47, or I don't know if it's the actual AK-47. I think it's technically called the MK-74, maybe the AK-103. I don't know which one it is exactly, but whatever AK it is, the AK and the SCAR are two of the more glaring trouble guns, for lack of a better phrase, that I can see, in that they're both really strong and they have very low damage drop-off within the range that they're effective. Unlike the M4, which is pretty fucking awful, which has pretty awful damage just to begin with. So even with my M4, which has like 3 or easily 3 to 5 extra damage over the base variant because of all the modifications I've put in, even then my M4 doesn't really feel that strong, like per bullet. But with the AK or the SCAR, like, those things hit fucking hard, and they will melt the hell out of you within their effective ranges, which, if you play on like Rusty Cage or maps that are more, smaller as far as line of sight maps go, they can kill you faster than any other weapon in the game. So, that being said, I'm not too sure if I'm very comfortable with how the gun balance is in this game. I've already talked about how the submachine guns feel like they're kind of weak because they feel inconsistent and they don't really feel reliable. While on the other end of the gun balance spectrum, we have guns like the AKs or the SCAR that completely shit on people. So, I do want the devs to kind of take a look again at the gun balance in this game and make sure that they can do whatever they can to prevent any one or two guns from standing out over the rest of the crowd. Like, in combat arms, the G36, as you all know, is notorious for being pretty much the best gun in the game. Even like that and the UMP were the only two guns in the entire game that people still said, "Oh, you don't need to pay to win to play this game. All you need to do is get a light vest, G36, and UMP, and you're good." Or like an L9 if you wanted to rock a sniper. So I don't really want a game like that. I'm not really looking forward to playing another 8 years of Combat Arms where the G36 is the dominant AR. So much so that even the competitive leagues only allowed you to have like one or two G36s per team, or yeah, per team basically in a game. So yeah, I don't want the AK or the SCAR to fall into that. Obviously, I like both guns, both in other games and in real life too. I guess they're cool, but in game they seem really strong, and I hesitate to call them overpowered because I just haven't played enough of the game to really determine whether or not they really are broken. But as of right now, they actually do seem very strong. So if they could be dialed back, or the devs need to do something in order to sort out the gun balance, because right now it's a little off in my opinion. Moving on to the next one, I already mentioned this before about when I was talking about gun balance, but the bad netcode and or hit registration is a frequent issue in this game. People have brought it up, or I've seen people bring it up in game, like in public chat or whatever, and it seems to be like a generally shared opinion that this game, the line of sight doesn't really have all that great netcode or hit registration. And even though I don't want to be that guy and blame it on netcode or hit registration or whatever, I do think that they do have a point. I do think that the game could improve its hit registration a little bit, because I get a lot of headshots and too many of them don't kill right away. Like even if the guy is only has 100 health, I shoot him in the face at close range, they survive it with like 36 health remaining, and they shoot me in the face once, and I survive. I actually don't survive. I just die. So, of course, maybe that just has to do with other things, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was because of bad netcode. But yeah, I'm not going to talk about that any further. I'm sure other people are more qualified to comment on the whole, bad netcode, bad hit registration thing, because I personally don't really care. But at times it can be annoying when you feel like that's the reason why you lost a gunfight in this game. So. Next is the topic of potential pay to win. So earlier in the bad section, I talked about how this game has the potential to become very grindy because you don't get a lot of GP just by playing completing a match. Like you get a lot of GP for well, not really for ranking up. You only get a 1k GP for ranking up, but for doing missions and whatnot, you do get a lot of GP in terms of effort to GP, that kind of ratio. So besides that, though, or even with that, because there's that whole potential there's that whole potential to grind the game, or to have to grind the game for in-game currency, obviously that means that there's going to be an even bigger potential for pay to win. I mean, we already see in other shooter games that are nowhere near as grindy. Like, I don't want to call Dirty Bomb a not grindy game. It can get grindy, but yeah, let's not even get into that. It's a completely different game. But line of sight, considering the prices that you see in the shop, it seems very tempting to just drop 10, 20 bucks to buy those jewels that that's basically like Combat Arms' version of their version of Combat Arms NX or Nexon NX, and just buy whatever you want. Buy guns, all that kind of stuff. Also, there's the whole Founders Pack thing, where you drop $70 to get like special Founders Pack items that give you like I guess permanent mercs, permanent guns. Like I think there's some guns called the M4A1 Raptor and the L115 something, like a different variant of the L115. Like I don't know if they're statistically better than the guns you can get in the game. Like, if the Raptor is better than the base M4A1, or if the special variant of the L115 that the Founders guys, or that's available through the shop, is better than the base L115. But to me, it kind of feels like they are. Maybe it's just because of my personal bias against people who buy Founders Pack or just drop a lot of money to have an advantage over other people in the game. But whenever I've been shot by that special L115 variant, I've never tanked it before, so it kind of leads me to believe that that thing never tanks. So yeah, I'm smelling a potential pay to win here. I really hope it doesn't go that way, and I have faith because this is a new developer, as in Black Spot. It's their, I think this is their first game, Line of Sight. So I'm willing to put my faith in them that they won't turn this game into another pay-to-win shitfest like Combat Arms eventually became within a few years of its own release. But it's there, and it kind of worries me, honestly. A personal gripe that I have, moving on here, is the fact that some items in the game apparently give you more health. So I'm not too sure what's going on here, because I've never really gone to the shop other than just to... Actually, I've never bought anything from the shop. I've just gone to a tuning store, or, the tuning thing, the store where you buy all your attachments and modifications for your guns. That's the only... That's the only things I've ever spent my money in-game GP on in Line of Sight, just more attachments for my guns. That's it. So I don't really know what piece of equipment that actually exists in the game, but I'm pretty sure there are some that give you more health. Like, for example, every time I get, or not every time, but most of the times when I hit someone in the face in this game, and it's a headshot, and you know it's a headshot because it makes that little clang sound like your bullets hitting someone's helmet. They sometimes don't die right away, even though you're supposed to, or they're supposed to rather. And oftentimes that gets me killed because I headshotted them, but they didn't die immediately, so they have time to turn around and shoot me in the face, and I die instantaneously because that's just my luck. And when I look at the kill cam, their health says, oh, 36 out of 136. Huh? Where did they get that plus 30 or 36 HP from? Like, it kind of confused me. So eventually I figured, I don't know, I haven't really checked the shop yet to see what pieces of gear give you additional health, but I have strong reason to believe that this game has gear pieces that give you more health, and that's really bad, in my honest opinion. That's horrible. That's terrible. Like, that's one of the main reasons why I eventually stopped liking Blacklight Retribution, which is another game, another free-to-play shooter game made by Perfect World Entertainment. I think the publishing companies or devs, whatever. And because in that game, that was all about character customization. The gear that you wore explicitly gave you more health or less health, but with the added benefits like more speed, stuff like that. So in that game, it was infested with people running around with gear that gave them 50 more HP. So basically, they're running around with 250 HP, meaning a bolt-action sniper rifle, even if you upgrade it to the max where it does 200 damage to one-shot someone, you can't one-shot them anymore because they're wearing, additional armor or additional different pieces of gear that give them additional health. That also takes down assault rifles in that game from a 4-shot kill, to a 5-shot kill, which is really annoying because that 5th shot can oftentimes be really annoying to land to finish off the kill. It seems that way in this game too, where there's gear that specifically gives you more health, and that's really bad. For a game like Blacklight Asian accent. For a game like Blacklight Retribution, that was acceptable to a certain extent because it was kind of like a futuristic shooter anyway, and it didn't really have like a standard quote-unquote health system because everyone had 200 health, and you didn't really die, you didn't really melt very, very fast. Well, for some guns are a different story, but I won't talk about that because it's a different game. But in this game, in Combat Arms, Line of Sight, everyone starts out with 100 health. I really want it to stay that way. It annoys me to no end that when I shoot someone in the face and they should die, they don't because they're wearing say a chest rig or a helmet, for example. Just, speaking purely theoretical here. And they survive my headshot, and they deny me a kill that I should have gotten for landing a headshot, and they kill me instead. That just really sucks. And I know that the counter argument would be, oh well, why don't you just spend some GP to buy that whatever that gear piece is so that you don't get headshot right away and killed right away. Well, honestly, I'm saving my GP to buy a permanent AK or a SCAR. So dropping like 5,000 or 10,000 or however much GP that I would need to spend otherwise I don't really want to do that. I'm a little unwilling, and plus I think it's cheap, so that's why I don't do it. So yeah, I don't approve of using gear pieces, at least not in a game like Line of Sight, where it directly increases your health pool and therefore lets you survive a headshot when you otherwise shouldn't have. I don't really like those kinds of mechanics. I don't really like those kinds of pieces of equipment. That's why I always liked Call of Duty past Modern Warfare and World at War, because there wasn't any Juggernaut, or I guess Modern Warfare 2 had painkillers, but that aside, because in the most Call of Duty games, everyone's got 100 health. There's no perks, obviously barring the early ones, that directly increase your health or decrease the amount of damage that you take. It doesn't work that way in those games, and I really wish it didn't work that way in Line of Sight either. But it looks like it is. So I don't really know. I personally, I feel really annoyed by the fact that you can gain more health just by wearing another helmet or something like that. Like, if it increased your armor value, then, or your armor effectiveness, and that's another thing entirely. But headshots should always be a one-shot kill. Given the style of Line of Sight, because it being a whole spiritual successor of Common Arms and whatever. It's that kind of game. So in a game where you can reliably tank headshots with like an extra helmet or something, is just I just feel like it's a really bad idea. It won't fly for me with Line of Sight. And now finally in the ugly section we have female characters. Oh my god. So if you guys don't know, in Combat Arms, lots of people use female characters, me included, for about 3 or 4 years, because female characters in that game had smaller hitboxes in the game. Like, literally, they didn't have the same hitboxes as male characters. So that means that if you're running a female character, you're probably gonna have a better chance of surviving a gunfight, simply because your enemy's gonna miss bullets, because the character you're using is just smaller. That's it. It's not because of the enemy's, skill at moving around. It's not because, they did a good job of outshooting you. It's just, no, their character's smaller. So, I honestly feel like it's the same way for this game. And to be honest with you, I'm not really that surprised, because, like I kept saying over the course of this video, Line of Sight is supposed to be a spiritual successor to Combat Arms. And, it's just funny to me that they would keep these aspects of Combat Arms and keep them in Line of Sight, like female mercs and shit like that. So, yeah, I don't really mind if female characters stay in the game, because, gender equality, I guess, but, it would be nice if they slimmed down the male character hitboxes, so that they are so much easier to shoot at than, say, for example, the female characters. Like, a gunfight shouldn't be determined by really stupid and arbitrary game mechanics like, oh, well, what's the size of your merc character hitbox? That's just really dumb. So yeah, the devs have to do something about that. And if they don't, I'm going to be really disappointed. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I know it was very long, and I know I blabbed on and on about a lot of things, but hey, I figured it was time to make a video like this on Line of Sight. Now that's been about 2 or 3 weeks ever since it came out for early access. So it's a fun game. Don't get me wrong, it is definitely a fun game, and I'm having a lot of fun with it, because the gunplay feels great. Because it's a new game, it just feels fun. And it being a spiritual successor to Combat Arms, like I'm saying for like the 5th or 6th time, drinking game, I'm having fun with it personally. But there's just a lot of problems that the game has that the devs really need to sort out. Some that are, just trivial, and they don't really have to do anything. Others are actually kind of big problems. So yeah, thanks for listening, thanks for watching the video, and yeah, I'll see you guys later.